The Weaver of Whispering Pines. A narration on peace. Imagine, if you will, a valley tucked so deeply between the folds of the blue-misted mountains that the mapmakers simply forgot it existed. In this valley lives Elara. She is not a queen, nor a conqueror, nor a merchant of great renown. She is a weaver. Elara's house is made of river stone and cedar wood. It doesn't boast golden gates or high walls. Why would it? Walls are built by those who fear what others might take, and Elara has nothing that can be stolen. She woke this morning, as she has for 40 years, not to the sound of a bugle or the frantic ticking of a clock, but to the soft conversation of the wind in the pines. Long ago, Elara lived in the great stone city. She remembered the thirst there, a thirst not for water, but for more. More silver, more status, more land. She saw how that thirst turned brothers into strangers and hands into fists. One day she simply walked toward the horizon until the noise of the city became a hum, and the hum became silence. 1 o'clock to 2:30. The philosophy of enough. The secret to Elara's peace is a word the world has forgotten. Enough. When she sits at her loom, she weaves only what is needed. If a neighbor's roof has leaked and their blankets are damp, she weaves a heavy wool throw. She does not charge them in gold. She accepts a basket of apples or a few hours of help stacking firewood. Greed is a fire that consumes the forest to keep itself warm. Elara prefers the sun. She understands that when you stop trying to own the world, you finally have the time to enjoy it. She doesn't own the river, yet its music belongs to her ears every evening. She doesn't own the mountain, yet its strength supports her gaze every morning. In the city, they called her poor. Here, she feels like the wealthiest soul alive. For what is wealth truly? Is it a pile of metal that requires a guard, or is it the ability to sit on one's porch without a single what if or if only? Clouding the mind. 2:30 to 4. The rejection of violence. There is a gentle stillness in the way Elara moves. Violence, she believes, begins long before a blow is struck. It begins in the heart when we decide that our needs are more sacred than another's life. It begins when we see the world as a series of battles to be won. One autumn, a group of travelers stumbled into her valley. They were tired, frustrated, and carrying the jagged edges of the world they came from. They argued over the path. They snapped at one another over the weight of their packs. They looked at Elara's garden with eyes that calculated its value. Elara did not meet their tension with a locked door. She met it with a pot of peppermint tea and a seat by the hearth. When one traveler spoke boastfully of his conquests, she listened with a quiet smile that didn't judge, but didn't applaud either. Violence wilts when it finds no soil to grow in. You cannot have a war with someone who refuses to be your enemy. By the third day, the travelers' voices had dropped an octave. Their shoulders, once hunched like shields, relaxed. They realized that in this valley, there was nothing to conquer, because everything was already offered freely. The shade, the water, and the silence. 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. The legacy of stillness. As the sun begins to dip behind the peaks, painting the sky in strokes of violet and bruised orange, Elara finishes her work. She runs her hand over the fabric, rough, honest, and warm. A peaceful life is not a life where nothing happens. It is a life where the heart is a clear pond. Thoughts may drop into it like pebbles, creating ripples, but the bottom remains still. Elara knows that she will not be remembered in history books. There will be no statues of her in the great stone city. But as she closes her eyes tonight, she carries no heavy secrets. She owes no debts of blood or gold. She has lived lightly upon the earth, and in return, the earth has held her gently. In a world that screams for more, there is a quiet, radical power in being content with this. In a world that strikes out in fear, there is a profound bravery in keeping one's hands open. May we all, in our own way, find our valley. May we all find our weaver's loom, and may we all learn the beautiful, simple art of having enough.